The number of them that have come in, like I've been playing 6 months, a year, 2 years, and I've never learned a song. And they've been taking lessons. We need to be embarrassed as teachers if we have someone on an instrument and we have not taught them a song in 2 years. Oh, we have got a juicy question in this one. Want to get asked a good bit in several different forms. Welcome back to the Drum Show podcast. I'm Stephen Taylor. I've been a professional drummer since I was 15, and I've been running an online drum school now for 13 years, actually, this month. Well, it's November, so last month. This month marks 13 years. So I've been doing it for a hot minute, and this podcast got started from your questions. And this is one that I get in a lot of forms, and that is, can you learn the drums by learning songs only? You know, so many players, they start playing the drums, myself included. They wanted to play their favorite music. That was the deal. They wanted to play the music that they loved. And oftentimes, this is what happens. You hear your favorite song, all of a sudden some performance, some drumming performance, something like that sparks your interest. You know, way back in the day, I used to hear all the time, especially from folks 50 and older, and they say, oh, I saw Buddy Rich the first time, or I saw Ringo on the late night show or something like that. Like there was some moment, I saw Vinny, with Frank Zappa, or I saw, but whatever it is, I saw, Dave Grohl with Nirvana. I saw, that was one of mine. Like I'm watching Nirvana Unplugged and some of those, like, it just fired me up, the energy that they played with. And so what happens is we want to play the drums because we've seen someone do that to our favorite music. So we're like, great. And so we book a drum lesson and we go in, and the drum teacher's like, okay, you want to learn the drums and learn this song? Cool. Here's a practice pad. Here's your first drum rudiment, and then they'd launch into technique. Now, I've had an issue with the traditional way of teaching the drums for a very long time. The drum set is a relatively new instrument when it comes to instruments. It's about 100 years old. In the 1920s, it started coming together, and it's the form we see it now. So you had cats like Baby Dodds that were playing music on tugboats, steamboats going up and down the Mississippi, and those are the cats that started to bring in things that weren't just a snare drum. Oh, let me bring a bass drum, put a pedal on it, and then we've got the hi-hat, which actually Baby Dodds rumored hated the hi-hat. It was called a low boy back then. It was sock cymbal, so it was down by the sock. It actually was just controlled by the foot, and then later they brought it up higher to hit it, and then you had cats like Gene Krupa come along. Gene Krupa actually worked closely with Armand Zildjian, I believe it was Armand, and in what the cymbals are named, crash, ride, like all those things, developing the sound. So in musical instrument terms, 100 years is not that old. You look at the violin or the trumpet or French horn or something like that, guitar, all those are very, very old. Now, the drum itself is one of the oldest, if not the oldest instrument. But the drum set in its current configuration, that's a new thing. So what happened in my eyes was we had drum set come along that was an instrument for a new type of music that was being developed, and that was really jazz. And then we had rock and roll come right behind that, blues, rock and roll. But we didn't come up with a new way to teach it. We still taught the traditional way. I don't know of any snare drummer that was like, oh, I heard on the late night show, I saw this drum and fife band, and I was floored. Like, maybe that was maybe I'm not making fun of that. I'm just saying I've never heard that. So when it came to the drum set, I've often wondered, do we have a few things backwards when it comes to teaching? I know this flies in the face of how it's popularly taught and everything, but I think it's okay to say, okay, so I hold these truths to be self-evident. I hold these as truths right now, but I'm going to set them on the shelf right there and know that they're not going anywhere. And I'm going to allow myself the opportunity to look at something from a different standpoint and viewpoint, and allow myself to challenge all of the assumptions or things I've come to believe were true from the way I was taught, or the way, that's not the way we did it back in my day. Like, okay, I actually, I've had to do that as a parent. I've had to do that as a husband. Like, wait, I was taught this, but I actually don't think that's the correct way. This was what I was modeled growing up, but I don't think that's the correct way, right? I had great parents, by the way. So, But I've had to do that. And sometimes I go, no, actually, this is the best way. But a lot of times I'm like, So I don't actually think that's the best way. And I've had these discussions with my oldest son. He's like, well, that's not what you did with me. And I said, turns out you were my first kid. I didn't know what I was doing. You didn't know how to be a human. I didn't know how to be a dad. So we were learning, right? And I've learned by the third one, there are some things that I said, there were some things I wish I had done differently with you, man. I could have been more patient. There were some things that I just didn't know. I didn't know that I didn't know. How does that relate to drums? I think that we assume that the way that we learned marching snare drum or orchestral snare drum is the way that we need to learn drum set. And I don't believe it is. So one of the first things I would do with students, and so I have an online drum school, I mentioned it earlier, right? One of the first things I do is get you up and playing a song. That's why on my main YouTube channel, that's why you see so many, if you search my name and then, first song on the drums, you're going to have several lessons come up, 5 or 6, I think, all that could be your first song on the drums. Why? That's actually the first lesson I want you to have. Because if I can hook you on the instrument, then you'll eat your vegetables. If I can lead you to water, I don't have to shove it down your throat, right? What's a great, a water hose is a great way to get water. Let's do a fire hydrant is a fantastic way and a very efficient way to get lots of water. It's a horrible way to try to drink water, right? It's just like the picture is just, So just because something is a good way to do it doesn't mean it's the best way to do it or the most efficient way. And what I want to do, instead of taking a fire hydrant and shoving all this information in your face, I actually want you to take a sip of that sweet, sweet water, which is playing music. The number of students that have come to drum camps here that have gotten to talk in person, we do drum camps too. We just released the 2025 season. They will sell out. Several of them have already sold out. There's only 72 spots. Please go jump on it if you want to. That's all I'll say about that. All the links for this are in the show description. And the number of them that have come, I've been playing 6 months, a year, 2 years, and I've never learned a song. And they've been taking lessons. We need to be embarrassed as teachers if we have someone on an instrument and we have not taught them a song in 2 years. I would have quit. That sounds awful. I'm going to be honest with you. That sounds like it sucks. Playing rudiments for 2 years with no music to attach it to? No way. No way. I don't know. I don't know. There's just no way I would have kept playing the drums. I actually don't. I applaud those people. I'm like, I don't know how you kept playing the drums because I had to quit. This podcast is brought to you by the Drum Better Daily program. That's actually my online drum school that I've run now for 12 plus years. Not only have I been playing the drums professionally since the age of 15, I've been teaching since the age of 18. Matter of fact, I talked to one of my first student a few days ago. I actually called him to see if he could sub a gig out for me. Daniel, love you, man. And he's still playing. He's still doing it on a pro level. And I have been committed to teaching for 22 plus years now. I would love to have you go check it out at stevensdrumshed.com. You can find a link to that in the show notes or video description, whichever platform you're watching it on. But it truly is a community of like-minded drummers where we are striving to just be the best that we can be at the drums. In addition to over 70 pre-recorded drum courses, there's also a tech talk area where we talk about everything technology related as it pertains to the drums, e-kits, recording, doing videos, all of that stuff. There are forums where you can hang out with the other students as well. We do 2 live video student calls every week that you can join if you'd like to. We do guest artist calls monthly, and I'll even make you a personalized lesson plan if that's what you need. Yes, we talk about the nuts and bolts of drumming. Yes, I give you exercises, but we also talk a lot about how to practice more efficiently, how to practice better, and how to get more out of your practice time. I know you're just like me. You're busy, you're being pulled by work, by family, by friends, by other responsibilities. Whenever you practice, you really want to see gains and have it be productive. that is what we focus on in the Drum Better Daily program. I'll have to say personally, it's been really cool because some of these students I've worked with for over 12 years, we started running drum camps here in 2022, and I got to meet some of them in person for the first time. Those drum camps have been selling out, blowing my mind with how much fun they are and how great a time it is to bring the community together in person. I'd love to have you be a part of it. One of the first things I want to do is get you up and playing a song, because it gives you a tiny win. And the first thing I hear is like, well, I'm not playing exactly like them. Okay, cool. Well, I play in tons of bands professionally, and I don't play it exactly like the player either sometimes, especially if they call me an hour before, like, hey, we need a sub. It's like, okay, well, you can get what you get, man. I'll show up and we'll get through it, but it ain't going to be exact. So there's all different levels that we can play something at. One of the first songs that I have students play is Billie Jean. It's a great intro song, classic Money beat. And there's a skill in there that everyone, they're like, well, I can't do this. It's a hi-hat lift. I think it's on the and of 4. And that's what I tell them. I'm like, you can play the song without that and nobody's going to notice. But guess what? I now have that carrot that I'm dangling in front of the horse. And I'm like, come a little bit further, right? It's like, come on into my lair, right? You know, you're going to have horse meat for dinner or something like that. That's a little creepy. But what we do is we dangle that carrot in front and we try to lead the student, or I try to lead the student to the next most logical thing. I had one last week come and say, I can't, I'm trying to play the song, but I can't play the hi-hat pattern that fast. I'm like, that's interesting. Let's talk about hand technique. And it's a natural segue into hand technique. They see the point for it, and all of a sudden they're hooked, and they want to study hand technique. Because hand technique and foot technique, like, it's just something that's a long road. You're just always going to be working on it. I was thinking about mine this morning. Like, you're just always going to be working on it. So, but for, like, let's say a kid, a 10, 11, 12-year-old, that's very boring to start with that. When I started the drums, I listened to punk rock music, and I just wanted to play all of that music. And I came in and I didn't play any of that music. Now, I had great teachers and I loved and respected them, and I had a passion for wanting to do it. So I stuck with it. But I'm just not certain that when someone gets hooked on an instrument by hearing a song that they hear and they're like, I think I could play that song if I just knew like a couple things. But then they come in and they're like, okay, the first thing we're going to learn is a paradiddle and, or single stroke roll and work on your hand technique for 30 minutes. And here's the stick control. Let's work on that. And it's like, that's so separate from what they want to do. Why can't we do both? Why couldn't we say, hey, I see you here. I see the song you want to learn. We're going to do that. If you promise to do this, right? And so the question is, can we learn the drums from only learning music? Yes, I think we can. The way you would do that, now, is it the most efficient? I don't know that it is, okay? But I do know it'd probably be the funnest. So what that looks like is, as we learn each song, there are skills within that song that we're unable to do. In working out the parts of that song, we're working on those skills. Hi-hat lift was one that I made mention of earlier. Ghost notes, that's one that I hear a lot from. They're like, he's doing this thing below there, but I can't do that. Like, okay. Well, we're talking about ghost notes. And now we're not only talking about can you play them, now it's a volume control issue and internal mixing, those kinds of things. I was just having some discussions with students last week on, hey, when you're hitting that cymbal, you're not getting the sound that you need to get out. Well, I'm crashing it. Yeah. But you're not getting the right sound. Don't hit it like that. Hit it like this. You're going to get a better, they're like, oh, I hear that now. Cool. Learning the songs. I was talking to one last week as well. And I said, do you hear the guitars in that part? And they said, I didn't even know there were guitars there. I'm like, okay, roll it back. Let's listen to the music. And we listened. I said, those are the guitars. You see how they're chunking on eighth notes and the bass is chunking on eighth notes and the, drums that's a power trio right there. You Are Power was a Green Day song. And I said, I get it now. And instantly the timing issues went away. So I use music to inform people of their issues, and then we can go away and work on those skills that directly apply to the music. I had a student that was talking about playing a jazz song, and they said, there's a lot of stuff going on in there with the snare, and I can't do that yet. And I said, oh, okay. Yeah, that's chatter. That's called comping. you know? And so let's talk about that. That's a skill that takes a long time to learn, but they're driven to learn it because they hear someone doing it. So even whenever it gets frustrating, even when they get sick of doing it, they turn back and go, okay, I see what they're doing there. I'm going to go back and practice a little bit more. Can we learn, or should we learn the drums just from listening to music? I don't know. It's really not for me to say. Whatever works for you is best. I do believe that learning all drums should be musically driven. I have a beginner lesson track, and it's 3 modules long, and there's 7 to 10 lessons, I think, in each module. By the time you're done with those 3 modules, you will have learned, I think it's 7 songs, 8 songs, and you learn the first one within the first couple lessons. Boom, we're in a song. That's what I want you to do. I have these videos on YouTube, learn 5 songs in 5 days. Why? Is there some magic? No, I just want you to get the win of learning them. We had a beginner camp last week. Not a beginner, a level 1. Part of a level 1 camp is exposing them to music and letting them see that we make music too hard. So as we're wrapping up sessions, by the end of the week, they've been exposed 15, 20 songs, and they've played them because I know the songs that they can play because I've been teaching forever, right? I've been playing forever, seems like. So I've made a catalog of, that's an easy song. That's low-hanging fruit. Boom, boom. And what you do is you give that student a win. So you don't just teach them that one drum beat and show them how to play Billie Jean. The magic, and I've got another video on the YouTube channel. I try to show people this. 1 drum beat, 100 songs. I play that 1 and 3 on the kick, 2 and 4 on the snare, and put it to 100 songs. Not just shove it in there. It's actually played in those 100 songs. And we made a mashup. I played the whole thing in one take. I did that to another drum beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That song is all over pop country of the 80s and the 90s. You had several session drummers here in Nashville, Paul Lime, along with a couple others that were doing a ton of the sessions, and they were using some of the same beats to curate a style. New wave of the early 80s used that drum beat all the time. For whatever reason, Latin or Mexican pop music uses that drum beat a lot. Ballads, oh my gosh, it's all over ballads. But you don't know that. Your teacher knows that or should know that. So whenever we learn those patterns in the bass drum, I immediately turn a song on and I go, okay, play this song. And they're looking at me like, I can't play this song. I'm like, yes, you can. Listen to it. It's the same drum beat. And then what do we have to work out? 2 or 3 drum fills. Go into the ride cymbal, no problem, right? But instantly we see that, wow, I learned that one drum beat. I can play all of these songs. It makes it very accessible to you. Are drums harder than that? Yes. Should we strive to better ourselves and play? Yes. But I think far too often we disconnect our drum learning from music. And that's why I started playing the drums, was so that I could play music. I am a musician first. Drums are the way that I get to interact with music. If the drums disappeared tomorrow, I'd find another instrument to try to learn as fast as I could so I could interact with music, because I'm a musician first. I want to play music, and I think all drummers are musicians and should strive to simply play as much music as possible. So when it comes to learning the drums, can you learn the drums by learning songs only? I think there are several great examples of drummers that have done such. You have Dave Grohl comes immediately to mind. It seems like he has done mostly that. I don't know him, but he has been stated as like, what, going in there and practicing without music? That sucks. I'm pretty sure he's come up in bands. I believe the reason I made such quick advances in my playing was because at 14, after a couple weeks of having a drum kit, the minister of music in my church came and said, we need a drummer. And immediately I was playing 3 times a week on stage, 4 to 5 songs, each of those times with a rehearsal attached to it. 3 gigs, 3 rehearsals, 4 or 5 songs at each one of them. And all the musicians were way better than I was. So I was constantly being presented with, I can't play this, I can't play this, I can't play this. Here's a song, I got to play it in 2 days. How do I play it? Because I can't play it. And I think that was very, very important. So should you learn the drums only with music? I don't think that's the most efficient way to do it. Can you? I think probably so. It'd be pretty fun. Here's the better way. Let's be smart about it. I think I think students should always be working on music. The one thing I see that I want to change about a lot of people's practice time is they don't involve music. I think you should always have a song you're working on. Always. I think you should always have easy songs that you're learning. Don't just go, oh, that's an easy song, I can play it. Learn the song. Learn the song. Put the rep in. So we have easy songs we're learning, and we keep those on a playlist. We have a harder song that maybe takes us 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes 5 or 6 months. That's big goal songs. But then we get those little wins of like playing these easier songs that give us the satisfaction of playing more and more music. While at the same time, the other side of our practice time looks like, okay, here's the nuts and bolts. These are the skills that are needed in those songs. Here's some hand and foot studies. I'm needing to work on my technique, rudiments, all of those things. But they go hand in hand with the music. We don't separate them. I'm seeing way too many drummers that are separating their practice time from music. Here's a novel idea. I do this all the time, and at our camps, people are amazed at how much music we play to during the week, and I'm like, why would we not be doing this? This is way funner than just sitting here playing to a click. Most popular music is recorded to a click. So look at if you're playing an exercise at 80 BPM, look up songs at 80 BPM. Look up a playlist on Spotify, songs at 80 BPM. And what happens is people run and work out to different BPMs. I know that's a little strange, but it helps them pace their workout or their run, especially marathon runners, half marathon, those kinds of things. So what you do is look those songs up and then practice to the song instead of a click. Now we're thinking about song form. Now we're thinking about how the exercise lays against the song. Now we're thinking, wait, when I start the exercise here, it kind of lays weird. I want to start it here. All those things are important. And we're just listening to music and playing to music, trying to get the vibe of it. So should you learn, can we? Yes, we probably can just, learn the drums just by playing music. Should we? I don't think it's the most efficient. Should we involve it in every practice session? Yes. Should we always have a song we're working on? Yes. I have several, and I have 4 more I've got to learn today. I just recorded 2 yesterday. I've got a push goal for a song that I'm working on, a gig coming up that, like I said, I've got 4 that I've got to learn by, I need to learn them today because I've got to play them Sunday. So, like bam, 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 bam. You need to involve music in what you're doing. If music's not a regular part of your practice time, contact me, help@steviesdrumshed.com. I'll help you make it a part of your practice time. You're going to make tons of advances by working on music in your practice time. Look, if you need some help, I would love to help you. Links are down below for my online drum school, as well as the in-person drum camp. You can submit a form, and we kind of evaluate everybody, and if there are spots left, we'll email you. But I would suggest you do that sooner rather than later, as we just released the 2025 camp schedule, and those usually fill up. But whatever you do, I'll see you here in the next episode.